If you've ever gone down the road of trying to find the emotion behind a physical symptom, you probably realized how quickly that can turn into a pretty stressful scavenger hunt. So you may have read books or watched videos and feel like, I think I know which symptom is linked to which emotion, but maybe it's not resolving, or you're more anxious than you were before you learned about mind-body or emotional connections to symptoms. So I've definitely been there. I want to give you some useful ways to think through this and work through this, because often it's the search itself that keeps this whole thing stuck. So let's talk about what actually works instead. Now, pretty much everyone I'm aware of, from like Western doctors to spiritual teachers, agree that stress contributes to what we experience in the body. It can be a contributing, an exacerbating factor, even a causative one, and that includes for actual clinical names for conditions that we have. So anything that can help you reduce the stress around a strong trigger or the symptoms itself is going to be good for you. It can't hurt, right? And I think this gives you a really solid foundation to work from, because it puts you more in an open state to receive whatever can come from your emotional work and maybe benefits you didn't expect, versus this sort of straight line, I have to find that emotion and that solution to that symptom. I will not claim that there is a clean one-to-one map, that every symptom connects to one emotion, and when we resolve that emotion or that event, that all just goes away in the body. Our minds really want that. That's very understandable, but it causes a lot of the problems. And one of the ways it can cause problems is through this searching for outside mapping, right? These are the books and videos that will tell you, oh, if you have, dryness in your eyes, it's because you have sadness about this thing you saw. Now, these things can be useful, in my opinion, as a starting point to spark internal investigation. Interesting. I wonder if there is some sadness here. Let me feel into that, right? But what I've seen more than once is that document turns into like a cheat sheet. Like, okay, so I now know that my dry eyes are this sadness, and let me watch videos about how to release sadness and stuff. So your mind is completely convinced that you have the answer. There's very little connection to your actual body, and there's not this internal openness and curiosity where we can begin to explore our own internal map, right? We're off hunting what we believe the solution is. Now, we don't know if the author of that document knows exactly what's going on in your life and all the multifactorial components, but your own body does, right? Reality is layered. There's a lot of things going on with us as an individual person. And what I think starts to build a real, actual understanding within us is when we start to notice direct correlations for ourselves. So for example, when I feel this tension, my stomach acts up, right? This boss and the stress of these deadlines consistently exacerbates or contributes or even causes, this seems to cause the pain in my neck or my shoulders, right? That's evidence you've started to build from your own experience, and there's more traction there because it's a felt connection rather than a framework that someone else has given you. So remember, whatever outside information you're getting about this whole thing, the question I recommend to continue bringing it back to is, am I using this to help me investigate my own internal experience? Or am I just accepting someone else's map? So now, this investigation of the internal experience. The most important step, and actually the most difficult, though it sounds very simple, is developing that ability to be present with the symptom and the emotions at the same time. It's harder than it sounds. I can't tell you how many times I've heard something like, okay, so I just like allow the feeling. That's the thing to do. It's way more nuanced than that as far as what it takes to actually do this. But more importantly, it's hard because when you're experiencing something uncomfortable in your body, almost all of your energy goes into, how do I solve this? How do I feel better? So even if in your mind you've decided, okay, I've heard it's about allowing or being present, 99% of what's going on in your actual body in that moment is it going away? Is my allowing working? Am I finding the emotion, right? That is vigilance. That's not presence, right? That's monitoring your body, monitoring for symptoms. Think about actually getting to know someone, right? If I want to understand what's going on with you, I can't be in a state where we're in the same room and I can't stand that you're there. And at best, I'm thinking, okay, just tell me what to say to this person so they'll get out of the room and leave me alone, right? I have to be able to turn towards you, say, hey, what's going on? How are you? Tell me something about yourself, right? And you're going to be able to feel my energy. It's the same thing with pain and symptoms, right? The foundation for any technique that I've ever found that actually works here is you being able to be in the same room with the experience. And remember, it's like expert mode to do this with the most painful symptoms. So don't expect that you will just be able to, okay, I'll just allow and be present with the most painful thing going on in my life, right? But that's the foundation to be able to actually listen to what it might be communicating. And that's very different than interrogating it for the answer. Tell me what emotion is going on in you, shoulder, so that I can release it, right? And again, that's why the outside maps are so appealing. The book will tell you, oh, that's the emotion it is, so I don't have to sit with this uncomfortable not knowing and being with the pain in a state of allowing and listening. One thing I found, though, that does make it easier to be present, and this is key to like everything I do, is a framework that doesn't pathologize what's going on in your body and even with your emotions, right? So your nervous system, especially early on, lays down patterns, right? Automatic ways of responding and mapping the world. Tension gets held in the body to help you manage. Okay, if I stay small, don't express this anger, then I won't get in trouble. Those patterns were protective. They can absolutely show up later as pain and symptoms and something that doesn't seem to have a clear source. But the more deeply embedded they are, the more they actually need a presence that can allow them and say, hey, I'm not judging you for being here. The complete opposite of your parents or whoever put in the pattern of we have to suppress this, we have to be this certain way. So again, it takes practice to meet that physical sensation, that symptom, that relationship with maybe a diagnosis you have, to meet it with something other than urgency, and I need to get rid of it. So there are even intellectual ways of just getting, oh, I wonder if there's a protective mechanism behind this. I wonder if this is a pattern my body learned to hold. Even if you're not an expert allower, right? We're trying to set you up for success with the right foundation of how to approach this stuff. So instead of what emotion is causing you so I can fix it, right? What might this symptom be protecting me from, if anything? What does my body feel the need to brace against? But it's an internal curiosity and question. It's from fixing to inquisitiveness, right? This is where real information can start to come through and you can connect the dots for yourself from your own body and nervous system, which again is multi-layered. So if you want to actually practice that, being present with those sensations, not trying to manage them, I have a guided allowing process and a video of EFT tapping to work with fear around symptoms. Both of them can be very supportive. Check it out. I'd love to know your thoughts. Thanks.